Was there a certain time when you're like, this is what I want to do? I want to rope.
Yeah.
When was that?
I remember it too. I remember Mike Beers flying in and roping at St. Paul over the 4th of July, and we had his horses, and we were actually, he flew in, and it was during Molalla and St. Paul, and I lived in Canby, which is right in the middle between the two of them.
Right.
And so he would bring over guys and stay at the house. Like I remember when Dennis Gates and Bobby Hurley were there. I remember Leo Camarillo coming. I remember turning steers for him when I was a little kid when he was trying horses, and Mike was so good because he would bring all them guys there to the house, and my mom would cook big chicken dinner for everybody and stuff, and just get to sit around and listen to them guys tell stories. But I remember when you can go from Molalla Perf and you can go to St. Paul Perf during the same time,
right.
but you gotta hustle to do it.
You gotta drive.
And I remember Mike roped in the team roping at Molalla, and I ran out there, and I was maybe 7 or 8, 9 years old, and run out there and grabbed this horse while he jumped in my mom's car and hauled butt to St. Paul to rope in the calf roping. And I took his heel horse and jumped in with Matt Tyler, and we hauled butt to St. Paul, so they could rope in the team rope, and they could ride their horses there.
Right. And
then I remember when we got there, I remember jumping out and getting on his horse and warming him up for him, and we just, hair on fire, balls out. It was awesome. I'm
right.
like, I want to do this all the time.
Yeah.
And till this day, I still love the 4th of July.
Right.
I love going to rodeos and flying around and hauling butt in rental cars and doing stupid stuff that most people probably would think is just totally insane. And I just remember at that one point in time in my life, I'm like, why would you want to do anything else? Why would you even want to go to school?
Right.
I remember to this day, I don't even remember it, but it's so funny, is that was the same time I think I was in 4th or 5th grade. And I remember after that, like, school was just ridiculous to me. And I remember I was a few years back, I went back to, my friends threw a party for me in Canby, and we all went to this little bar and grill, and they were having a teachers meeting there in Canby, and one guy came up and said, "Hey, are you Charly Crawford?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "I'll be danged." He says, "We seen you in the paper. They did a little deal there in Canby before they made the final and stuff to talk about it."
Right.
He says, "My wife was your 4th grade teacher."
Yeah.
And I don't even remember. I can't remember that far and stuff. It was irrelevant to me at the time. And he said she read the paper and was like, "I remember this kid. I literally remember this kid." And he was telling me, she said that I was terrible at math. I couldn't spell very good, and you could hardly read my handwriting. And couldn't read or hardly very good. And she's like, "Charlie, I'm telling you, eventually you're going to have to figure this out."
Right.
And I told her, looked straight in her face and said, "I'm going to rodeo for a living when I grow up, and I don't think I'm going to need a whole lot of this stuff. So, we're kind of wasting our time."
Right.
She's like, she's like, to this day, she says she remembers me saying that to her. And then 30 years later or 20 years later or whatever, reading the paper, and here I made it in the final. She's like, "Well, I guess he was right."
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
But it was kind of funny. But, yeah, that was all I'd eat, breathe, and sleep. I remember just sitting in classrooms. I knew when the slack was at Red Bluff, and just wondering what them guys were doing.
Right.
Yeah, it was just overtook me.